You are listening to the Horse Radio Network, part of the Equine Network family.
This is episode 258 of Horsemanship Radio, brought to you by HandsOnGloves.com, the all-in-one revolutionary bathing, grooming, shedding gloves. Horsemanship Radio is a part of the family of the Horse Radio Network, and today we have some of the best people trainers I know. And yeah, they train horses too, but they mostly train people. This is Debbie Laux, and you're listening to the Horsemanship Radio. Thanks for joining us. Horsemanship Radio airs on the 1st and the 15th of the month. And I have, waiting in the background, drumroll, I have my producer Jen with me today. Hi, Jen.
Hello. Have you recovered from the movement, the 2024 edition yet?
I haven't come down to the ground from that yet. No, I'm floating. It's really, really, really a fun year because we had so many certified instructors and so much fun entertainment. And I can't wait to tell you all about it. But you'll have to listen to it from their own lips because I didn't get Jamie Jennings in this interview, but I did get 3 other certified instructors and Monty Roberts too. So I crammed as much in this episode as I could possibly do on the fly as they were all trying to fly out of town. Nope, come back here. I need you. I need you for 20 minutes or so.
You cannot go to the airport until we chat.
Exactly. And the only exception to that was Jared Rogerson, who played our concert for us, Peace Love Horses. He couldn't leave the property until we made him promise to come back again. You remember we did that last year, Jen, and it worked.
You held him hostage, yes.
We did. And then we did it again this year because he was, he's trying to wrap up the last of the songs. And we were just throwing out songs that he had written. So we said, until we run out of songs that we could remember that he wrote, he had to keep singing. It was so much fun. And we said, you got to come back next year. And if you don't say yes, we'll keep throwing songs out there. So he said, no, he had so much fun. He really had fun. We had fun food and our guests are going to tell you a little about the horses that we had today too. So I don't want to ruin it for anybody. But I think the theme running through this year that was so cool going into the movement and was the fact that we have Monty Roberts and Shy Boy and some of the certified instructors that have been certified for so long with us, that it was like a reunion time, keeping Monty and Shy Boy at the top of the heap there for all the concepts. Shy Boy is just brilliant. Plus, we screened a private screening of The Cowboy and the Queen, which people haven't seen yet because it's not out in distribution yet. So that was pretty exciting too. One person told me they only bought a ticket because they want to go to The Cowboy and the Queen. I thought, okay, all right. Yeah, I'm okay with that. But that was a pretty special thing. We have different highlights every year. Sometimes it ends up being a horse. It's unpredictable that we didn't know that was the horse that was going to win everybody's heart and have us laughing and crying. And so this year it was really kind of the old home week. But there was another theme that came out of the other side of the movement, I think, which was about wildness and what is wild after all. And I love exploring that because I think when we think wild, we think of mane flowing everywhere and horses kicking and a lot of chaos maybe is wild, but it isn't really. And
that's interesting that you say that. I was at the hairdresser's yesterday.
Yeah.
And the gal who was cutting my hair said, "Oh, you have horses?" So of course the conversation went that direction.
Yeah.
And one of the first things she says, "Oh, I love horses. They're so beautiful, but I don't know anything about them." And the conversation went on. "Well, they're just really big dogs, aren't they?" So of course I got to go down that rabbit hole. Right. And she said, well, they're really high energy. They're always running around, right? They're always running around and bucking and stuff, right? No. Mm-hmm. So it was very, very interesting that you brought that up about what is wild. Mm-hmm. And I think for the vast majority of the 21st century human being, what they think a wild horse is really, really quite contrary to what a wild horse really is.
Pretty Hollywood, I'd say. Pretty
Yes,
Hollywood.
and you're right. What they imagine wild being lions chasing gazelles or
Yes.
mustangs galloping full tilt across a valley. No, they're not. They're running like that because there's a helicopter chasing them, filming them.
There's that.
But you're right. We've lost a little bit of touch of what wild really is.
And it was
very interesting.
Yeah, Roberto Dutesco was here, of course, with this photographic exhibit of 30 years of going to the Sable Island, which is a spit of sand, which we've done episodes on this now, and we know a little bit about the wild horses of Sable Island that don't have predators. So they're not that wild, right? What is wild? And what is in us that is attracted to wild, even freedom in ourselves? Why do we reach out to the most, if you're curious about horses and what makes them tick, part of it is that being drawn to their wild side or their pure language, pure equus, which is that sensitivity. So maybe sensitivity is even a better word than wild. We're attracted to that because we want them to trust us. We want to draw them in. We don't want to just bait them with carrots and cookies. We actually want them to come over to be with us and want to be with us. And they do. They actually, herd animals want to be with us. But what does our sensitivity look like to them? And I think you're going to hear that in some of these conversations that we had. We had 4 people on. We have Monty Roberts. We have Joanna Lowes from Wales. We have Manjeev Chaudhary from India. And we have Miguel Lupiano from Brazil. And they each have their own perspective on the weekend, called The Movement. It's a movement away from violence and training. It's a movement that has begun, that brings horses closer to us, whether it be through therapy, through performance, through our love of horses. And it's also to move people, stir people inside with new thoughts, or do activities they've never been brave enough, maybe even to do. They feel more confident being able to do, like the mountain trail. Never saw themselves doing it, and then they're doing it, and it's delightful. This is where I say I love to see grown women giggling on horses because they're having so much fun, and it's just real fun. It's symbiotic with the horse, which is really cool. So that's my intro to today's episode.
Well, before we get to our first guest, we always have a little chat about Hands on Gloves because they are our title sponsor after all. And you had mentioned something a little earlier about a mare you had there at the farm that could benefit from some new techniques with the Hands on Gloves.
Yes, I loved you. We were talking about Hands on Gloves being so clever. There's so many different things about them that we love. But the one thing this poor mare is always suffering from are the little drips off the belly when we wash her. And she's such a sweetheart. She really puts up with a lot. But for her, you can just tell it's like super ticklish, like there was flies all over her belly. And it's not just a little water drops, But even after you scrape her off, you know how the water creeps down under there and it drips a few more times. It drives her bananas. And you told me about a video that showed a guy who had thrown a towel over his dog in this case. But before you put it back in the car, you get out a towel. But for those who, want to really be able to grip the towel and really get a good job done of drying the dog or the horse in this case. And I could really reach under her belly by putting on my hands-on gloves, grabbing the towel, and, I don't have to hold it very hard if I can scrub under her tummy with that towel and get those last little bits of moisture out of there so it doesn't bother her.
We've all taken the towel and we dry some part of the horse with the towel. Mm-hmm. Well, the towel dries the top of the hair. Right. It does, especially as their hair gets a little heavier in the wintertime.
Yeah, here we are.
It doesn't get down. And it's like trying to wash your hand without using your hair, without using your fingertips. It doesn't work.
Exactly, Jen. That's a perfect analogy because I can't get in there, especially under the belly. It's kind of loose skin. And yeah, that's
perfect. Brilliant. So washing your horse, give him a quick scrape, and you've already got your hands-on glove on anyway because you were using that to scrub your horse.
Yep.
We'll just grab the towel in your hand. give the tummy a rub, give the legs, and what a great way to also get the legs and fetlocks and coronets really, really dry, because that's going to ward off scratches.
Yes, that's another thing that we can get here in the tall grasses. And she is a pasture horse, but she's absolutely lovely. And she loves her spa days and loves her grooming, but she hates her little drip drops.
There we go.
For tummy.
Yet another. We're going to have to develop a pamphlet, 101 useful ways that you can use your.
I'm telling you, every time you get horse girls together and you talk about hands-on gloves, we come up with a new one almost every time.
Every time. You can find out more at handsongloves.com, or you can find them at your local retailer.
So I have sitting with me Monty Roberts and Joanna Lowes from Wales, Monty Roberts from Solvang, California. And we are here because it is post-event, post the movement 2024. And we're real excited that we're all still alive. We all survived. And we actually had some nice horses come out the other end too. So I wanted to just get your two voices in the same room to go over the experience a little bit and tell us what you thought, what your hopes are for these horses in the future that we worked with, and how much fun you had.
Well, from my standpoint, the horses that came here were maybe the most educational individuals that we've ever had at a event of ours here. That doesn't mean they were easy. Some were, but it doesn't mean that they were dead easy all the way through, because Jerry Williams brought one here that was not at all easy. And he brought two, in fact, that were 2-year-olds, and one was a gelding, and one was a female, a mare, a filly. And the filly was a dream. She was fine, and she went right in there and said, I'm signing on, and I'll do what you ask me to do. And the other one did just the opposite. And the first time that I had him in a round pen, I was embarrassed with how little I got done. I had intended to do a join up and saddle, long line, and rider. That was my intention. It wasn't going to happen. I was not going to put a rider on that day. And then we decided to come back with him 2 days later, because I had lost a night's sleep, worried about putting Joanna on this horse if I didn't get him right. And I sat up on top and just talked Joe and Miguel Lupiano through some early join-ups, but particularly walking over a plastic tarpaulin. And when we could get him to step, step, step and walk over the plastic tarpaulin, I knew we were on the right track. And I think we probably spent an hour or an hour and 15, and Joanna walked up to him, put her foot in the left stirrup, and mounted him just like you would a horse that was 10 years old and ready for the kids to ride. And then she rode him around, and it was maybe one of the best demonstrations that I've ever done. It didn't surprise me that I was able to do a good demonstration, because we had Joe here with me. If Joe comes to me with an idea that is slightly different maybe from something I do, it doesn't take me long to see the reason why she came there. Her brain just works that way. And there's others that change around, and I look at it and say, whoops, why would they do that? And that's concerning. But Jo is unbelievable in her talent to relax, in her talent to execute each of the procedures that I've taught her, and then even build on those and sort of giggle as she puts through an idea.
What did you think of the old man in the round pen? The man in the arena, we call it.
Oh my gosh, day one, what a job you had with that gelding, because you managed to get that saddle on and off he went. He was quite a wild boy, wasn't he?
Oh, he was. He bucked hard, yeah.
Mm-hmm. And then off he went with the long lines on, and I was really pleased, actually, that you decided not to put me on day one. And I think, we had so much fun. We brought him back into the round pen. Jamie Jennings, another Monty instructor, did an incredible session with him on day 2, getting him walking over some tarpaulin. And then on day 3, we came back. We did a little repeat of that. We got some plastic on a stick. We moved that around his body. We had a little go at picking up his feet and getting our hands all over his body, put some tack on, and we managed to go through it in such a lovely, relaxed manner that by the end, he was a nice, chilled out horse, and I was able to sit on him and walk around, even practice some little stops and starts and getting him moving off the leg a little bit. And we already had a little bit of the basics of steering. So I was so proud of that horse.
That's nice.
Well, I was proud of the horse, but even 10 times prouder of you and what you did, because my voice, an idea, just became like a miracle that it went down to your core and you put it on the way you do. And if I had to guess, I would say even more successfully than and more effectively than I might have done it myself.
Wow.
I'm serious about that.
That's nice.
That is quite the compliment, Monty.
Well, it's just the truth. And boy, oh boy, I think many, many times every week about how you've come forward. And I don't get to see enough of you anymore because without my travel, it's almost impossible. And now I have a physical condition that won't let me travel that much. And I just want you to know that I feel the luckiest horseman in the world to have somebody so attached to that seam to move forward. And I know good things will happen in the future.
Well, what I loved seeing is that you leaned on Monty for his advice, but that you also were 100% within his concepts. It wasn't like, well, I do it a little different. I take a little bit of this from that person, a little bit of that from that person, because we always say that the concepts are really not Monty's. They're the horse's, right? And the horse responds either more accurately, affirmatively, positively, or doesn't, based on what movements you're making out there. And I think that's how, Monty, you self-correct, and Joanna, I saw you in perfect image of that, using your brain for that too. But it was the horses that were... What other horses did you work with?
We also had, from the same place, a mare. And I love that Monty says she was the easy one. But we probably didn't put her through quite as much during the session. She was a little bit older than the gelding. And we did a session with her. And again, Monty talked me through doing a join up, putting the tack on. I do remember you saying at one point, this saddle's going to hit the ground before we managed to do it up on her. But we managed to do the saddle up on her, do a little long lining session. And then by the end of that one, I was able to put my foot in the stirrup and just lift myself up on her side. But we decided to call it a day there, and not put my leg fully over because, I mean, that's still a huge session for one horse in one day. The distance that her brain went was absolutely amazing.
Good decisions, yeah. So overall, the movement, so we've already made you promise in blood that you're coming next year. So overall, what would you like to do next year with these horses?
At 89, is there a next year?
This is a contract now.
Yeah, I mean, what I would like, my side of it, what I would like is that Debbie answers the question to call you back and to basically write my name on your shoulder somewhere and then just go do what comes to you after all these years.
So we have Argentina coming up in the fall. And what was interesting about this session, this weekend, was that you spent a lot of time on the wall orchestrating. You were the maestro, talking through the details. No, not yet. Do this now. Let's try this. Let's not try that. What do you see? What do you see? What did you see, Joanna? You've been to a few tour events, toured with Monty for 5 years. What do you see that looking like? Is that something just as accurate as what he did on tour?
Oh, absolutely. I think if Monty can sit down maybe now a little and take it easy, he can spend the time on really getting the words towards us, really telling us in good, descriptive forms exactly what is going on in the round pen, because there's so many subtle movements that people don't see. So you'll be watching the position of somebody's shoulders, the way that they're breathing, their eye contact. And it's so hard to talk about these things in real time, especially while you're moving around a round pen with a horse. So breaking that job down into two is something that I'm well up for. I love being in the round pen and I love doing the work with the horses. And then Monty's voice just telling us exactly what is going on just makes it perfect.
We may have a rider for Argentina. What do you think?
Oh yeah, we have a rider for Argentina. That's no question. If she comes, if Joe's there, we have a rider there. And they can bring a bronc rider and they can bring somebody you can get up there, but it's not the same. It's just not the same. When she understands the physiology, when she understands what's going on behind the scene with this horse, and then she matches herself to the needs of that horse, it's an incredible success. Where just putting a good rider on is wonderful, but not very smooth like Joe does it. And
they're not familiar with your, let's belly over now. What does that mean? And especially we have a foreign language barrier there too. All that timing is so instrumental. So you did some work during the movement in the gentling pen, and that was fun. You did a little presentation with Netta DeMeo, Return to Freedom, a couple of her horses, little Mustangs, Brislon girls from that band of Mustangs. And you showed off 3 of your instructors there. That was Jamie Jennings, Manjeev, Chaudhary, and Miguel Lupiano actually worked in the gentling pen with you on the wall. How'd that go?
Well, it went well and normal. Mustangs that were every bit as wild as any Mustang could be. And they did the things that we asked them to do. And it will go on their list of movements later to be cooperative with the human being. And maybe she has a better chance to get them adopted away. I think Joe and I both feel that saving horses from just being wild and dying in the wild, or being hauled off and ground up for dog food is not the answer for this species that we love so much. And I think Joe would agree that there's hardly a horse born that won't move into a cooperative attitude toward human beings if done properly. Roping them, tying them down, and kicking them, and using a lot of violence just doesn't get that to happen. But the world is changing slightly, and I have to call on such as Joe to push that forward and cause more people to change. I think we're close to critical mass, if not there.
But it is the wild, wild west out here, Joe. And we did have a mountain trail for you, which presented a bit of a challenge with our off-the-track thoroughbred transition horses as we were out there. So what do you think of our mountain trail?
Oh my gosh, it's so much fun. I want to build one in Wales. If only there wasn't so much mud. We had so much fun out there. So we took 3 X-race horses that have been here for a little bit of retraining. And we also had a quarter horse with us as well to be our nice, sensible lead horse. And Mojo did a perfect job of going around all his obstacles. The race horses, however, came out and saw a big group of like 50, 60, 70 people and were a little bit wired for a while. So it took us a little while. We had to just walk them around a little bit. One had to get off and just do a little bit of groundwork so that they were relaxed again to start. And then we managed to ride around some of the obstacles. There's a huge range there from all these different platforms and bridges that you can walk across, and then a big, huge pond that you can walk through, and various techniques that you can use to, get your horse used to all of these things that you can come across on the trail. So I think that was a great demonstration.
That was fun. You guys were brave and fun, and a lot of breathing. We did practice a lot of diaphragmatic breathing out there trying to talk. So what did you think of the concert with Jared Rogerson?
Oh my gosh, that guy is incredible. He had some songs which were about, I think my favorite one was called Peace, Love, Horses. Yeah. And it became like an earworm. We were singing it all for the rest of the night. And
That's a great thing.
Yeah, what a lovely concert. And it was in the garden with the roses and the flowers, and it was just such a beautiful setting, and with the sunset in the evening and such lovely people. It was really beautiful.
You know what I think that you so deserved, and all the instructors did, and we have some advanced students here too. Besides the instructors that I mentioned, we've got Tess Armani is an advanced student, and they're heading towards their advanced exams now, and James Oliver was here too. So it's fun to see you guys being affirmed by the public too, because you need that pat on the back. It's hard work becoming a certified instructor. Then it's even harder work to make your own business and make away with it too. So it was kind of fun to hear you say that people had come up to you and said, "Good job. You weren't just the writer for Monty."
Yeah, I was blown away by how lovely everybody was. I mean, there was quite a range of people in the audience, but I think they were all moved in some way. So either they found it completely transformative and were really emotional, or they were just, they loved what they saw in the round pen, and the variety of work that we did with the horses. And for me, it was just so nice because, I work at home, I train horses, and, I think it becomes a little bit every day. It's the norm. It's just what you do. And then to come over here and show it alongside Monty in such a lovely place with great other instructors, and to see the effect that it had on the audience over here, it's been so reaffirming that the way Monty has taught us to work with horses is just incredible.
It's fun too. And I have to thank Katerina Kofid for her anatomical fitting. That was a great session too. And it did add the variety, like you said, of sessions that we did too, because that education is so important. And it's so confusing to the public out there too. But I think, Dad, the compliment came from you that was very nice, that we had a rapt audience. The people that come for the movement not only are horse lovers, they're interested in everything about horses, because there is a cross-section of subjects that we cover. But that through that hour and a half session, not that the horse was overly wrought at that point, but you just took your time so carefully. I don't think one person left to go to the bathroom, get a drink of water. What'd you think?
It was terrific. A really nice audience. And Robert added so much to it with his work in those islands up at the top of the North Pole.
Roberto Dutesco.
Yeah.
Yes, with the photographic exhibit of the wild horses of Sable Island. And he was hanging off the side of that pen too, watching the whole time. He's not a horse guy, right? Except that he knows more about the image of horses than probably anybody on earth after 30 years. But yeah, everybody comes from a different part of the world and a different reason for being here, but they all were wrapped by both of yours work.
Yeah, and I think his thing told everybody how important it is for us to see horses accepted on the face of this earth in a gentle and nonviolent fashion. Those horses came off of violent sinking ships.
Yeah.
to inhabit those islands with no grass, no fresh water.
Well, they have a little scrubby grass, and there's certainly no fresh water.
Well, the grass is seaweed kind of thing.
It is algae. They live on
and they're
algae.
staying alive and they're growing. There is a God in heaven, and there's some twisting going on to cause these principal animals that we're talking about to live through it. But I couldn't have dreamed that horses could live with just the conditions that they have.
Yeah.
And there they are with their manes hanging down to their knees and making it, living. And I think that God would say, horses are just as important as human beings on the face of the earth for whatever reason. I have my reasons. I see some on the wall right behind us here. My reasons for falling in love with these horses that tried so hard to correct my mistakes and win championships, world championships, 12 of them. It was fun.
Yeah, we're sitting in the saloon at the main house, which we know is like a historical museum in here. It's not one of those rooms that's filled with things that you bought on eBay. It actually, everything was earned, achieved, awarded, and it's a beautiful room. And so many people have been through here that we're so proud of.
I need some more pictures of Joanna.
Okay.
Doing her work.
We'll have to pull some screenshots from all that video. The good news is that we videotape everything these days. And this is our 7th annual, The Movement. The movement it's a movement away from violent training, isn't it? And violence and force. It also is a way to move people to advocate for those concepts in whatever part of the world and part of their industry that they work in. But it's also about the movement that helps keep horses healthier. And so we're trying to create here in the facility a better way to house horses as well. So that's the reason for the movement. And I think every year it's different and it gets, I don't want to say better, but it's definitely broader in who comes here. We had a lovely mother who lost her child in the Sandy Hook shootings. That's incredible to me. She's so strong and she's so determined to change the way people interact with each other. And she believes that horses are the way forward. And I know, Joanna, that you work in the Horse Sense and Healing programs as well. You have. And that you believe in that side of it for people too. So I'm proud of you for that as well. Does that stir your soul as well?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think maybe this movement these last few days have really highlighted not just what a join up can do for a horse. I think that the audience would have seen that so well with the 2 really wild horses that we worked with and how they were then at the end of the session after doing a join up. But join up is just so powerful for the person doing it as well. It's therapeutic because of, the number of ways that it makes you have to move your body and express yourself in order for the horse to understand what you mean. So yeah, I think from both sides of the table, join up is the most incredibly powerful principle and concept. And I'm just so grateful that I've had the best teacher in the world to to teach me how to do it.
Stop and think about it. Horses can teach this world how to let people get along with one another instead of what they're doing right now, wanting to kill one another off, wanting to fight one another, take their country away, whatever it is. It's all violent. And the horses will tell you that isn't the way to live. There's a better way here. So we have a much bigger, I'll be gone, but we have a much bigger obligation to these horses and to the people to show them what nonviolence does. So I believe in Equus Caballus as being maybe the savior of the world, but we've got to send them home.
Yeah, we gotta get, so goodbye. And I appreciate you being here, and I can't wait to see you soon.
Goodbye. Thank you so much for having me.
Hi, I'm Monty Roberts. And I'm coming to you now to talk about the Monty Roberts Online University. You know, there ought to be 6 months in everybody's life where they just live with their animals. I've been staying home, but 3 months now, I've been home with this virus thing. And the things I'm learning, we're bringing you a new series. What horses see, how horses see, and about horses seeing things. The online university is bringing you the last 3 years of my learning process, which I promise you is the learningest years I ever spent. The Monty Roberts Online University, you won't miss a minute of it if you get started on it. I love bringing it to you, and it's my shot to take my concepts to the next generation.
Well, it's post the movement 2024, and I'm excited to bring you a couple of the instrumental and important people that were there, our certified instructors, Manjeev Chaudhary and Miguel Lupiano. We'll have you say hi so we understand that you're from different continents, possibly.
Hello. Hi, everybody. How are you? With my accent, you can imagine I'm from the other side of the world, which is India.
That's it.
And I can't be more than happy to be here for that event.
Yeah, it was so good to have you. You zoomed in about a week ahead of time, and we got you on the ground running, and it's really fun to have you back for the summer. And Miguel?
Yeah, hi everybody. I'm not so far away as Manjeev, but a little bit more south, and it was really good to be here and watching. And many times I lost the movement. That was my first movement here.
This is the first time it's
first
our
time.
7th annual movement, and Miguel, who's been here for years, 2015?
2015, and this was incredible because I never had the opportunity to participate on the movement, and was my first time.
It's fantastic because he was fantastic in the movement as a horse handler here, a teacher, a demonstrator. You're a big guy, and we needed you too because we had some pretty strong horses that were pretty challenging. But that's what I like about the format of the movement. It's not like a one evening, one and done demonstration. We get to see the progress of horses over 3 days. It was Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday. And it was fun to have you guys working and orchestrating with 2 other of our certified instructors, Jamie Jennings from Oklahoma, and also Joanna Lowes from Wales. So there's 2 more continents we just added to. So being here first, let me hear your impression. What was different about the movement than the classes that you've taught here or even attended in the beginning?
Yeah, it was very interesting because we are teaching all the time here. We have some interns. We do classes. But the movement was so different because people were so interested about what happened with the horses and a little bit different than teach a student, you know. People were around and wants to absorb everything we had. Sometimes when I was inside the round pen and everything was so quiet outside and I mean, I look around and all the people stand still and watching and waiting for something. It was really nice. And the people we had here was so good people. I had the opportunity to talk with them. And it was really good. And it's very different. And all those informations we have with the speakers and everybody around was so nice. I love to be here. And for my first movement was so nice.
Yeah, that's great. And you brought your mom and your wife.
Yes, it was so quite a surprise because they came a couple of days before here from Brazil, and they had the opportunity to be around and watch everything and had lunch with us. Nice lunch under the tree, nice weather. Yeah, California, it's amazing.
Yeah, I love June here. It's true. We did get some good weather, but fortunately we're covered everything too. So even that California sun didn't affect us too badly. And you've attended a movement or 2 now.
Yes, this is my second movement, and I'm amazed as when I was with the first one. So that was the most important thing, because the word says movement, and I've seen some of the people, those who were there last year, they want to come back again and absorb more and more. So that made me more happy that it's not only one time or one kind of an event that you just go for once and that's it. So, and it's very different from the classes, because in the classes you have more time to teach students and they are more open, but you have more time actually. But with movement, we have a couple of days. And how you move the lives of people and lives of horses, that's the main agenda of this thing, and how we can show them that this is possible. You don't need to have a whole lot of time if you do things right and the way it's supposed to be, and that makes sense to human and animal. I think that is the main reason what we do here, to teach them or to show them like how you can do it. We have seen horses, those who came in and they needed help for sure, because that's why they're here, and how they transformed in 3 days. So that is only a 3 days event. If you can make a difference in 3 days, and that is the gist out of this entire event, that if you do your thing right, it can take less time, as Monty says. Take the time it takes, so it takes no time. So if you are enjoying what you're doing for 3 days, is more than enough to change anybody's life. And we have seen with people and us, we are the live example of this, that we started learning the concept and now we are the ambassador of Monty's concept in a different part of the world. And people are loving it. We spoke with so many people on the different movement last year and this year. And they come with the open mind. They come with the concept that, okay, this is something which Monty does, but how he is doing it. And watching him live doing it in front of them makes it a whole lot of a difference, because then there's nothing in between, like maybe the videos or the audios, if you see on YouTube, I might have addition or some editing been done. But you watching Monty doing everything right in front of you. So you are learning from the source. And I think that's the best you can do. So this movement is the most important thing. If you want to learn the concept of Monty, non-violence, and making difference in lives of human and animal, I think this event has everything in it.
Yeah, nice. And the opportunity to film it is my pleasure too, because I think, Monty's 85 years now doing these concepts. Not too many people on earth have been able to work with their horses in nonviolent training for a straight 85-ish years. I mean, he was a stunt boy at 3-4 years old in the movies. So let's talk a little bit about the horses. The horses are great. And we always, we get really lucky that way every year, I think, blessed. But tell us a little bit about the starter, Miguel.
Well, those are a big surprise. They were supposed to be starters, but they are gentlers. It was hard to catch them inside the stall. They were very good horses, good mind, very nice, but they were tough. The colt was tougher than the filly, because he wants to do what he wants to do. He didn't accept people tell him, hey, do it like this or something. We had to work a lot with them, and but they are so good, and I think it was very nice for the people see how we start a horse from nothing. Very green horses. And yes, we made some mistakes in the middle, and that thing I think was really good too, for the people see the mistakes we made.
What were the mistakes? So we're starting with two 2-year-olds. I think they're both 2 years old. 2 years old. Yeah, one a gelding, one a mare, or one a little filly. Really, they're fully grown, but they're still maturing. And the filly was a little bit bigger than the boy, and they're brother and sister, right? Yeah,
the filly, it's a little bit bigger, and she was more calm than the colt. The colt was a little bit tougher because he wants to fight against us. And I was talking about mistakes. It's not mistake doing something wrong, but something we didn't expect from the horses. Yes. And then was a surprise. And that was really good, because the people around could see those kind of things. And we keep on the methods and the concept. And by the end, 3 days, we work with them. we had a rider on the coat, and the coat was more tough than the filly.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we had a rider on it and walk around inside the round pen. And Joanna did so good work on the top. So it was amazing because we had the plastic and lake and a stream. And the horses respond so well. Even they are more difficult than the other ones. But, we had a very good luck to have those two horses and show the people how to do it. And I think the people didn't expecting so much action because they were very spooky about everything around. But by the end, it was so good with what they did. And I think the people could learn and could see if we don't use violence and they use the Monty's concept on that, everything goes well and we can incrementally do something with the horses and the horse can understand and be part of us. And by the end, we did many things and the horse was follow me inside the round pen all the time. And that was amazing.
It was amazing. And a sensitive horse like that, I think Dad's statement was something to the effect of, if this horse was put through traditional horsemanship, he would be a different horse. He would probably never trust. He's way too sensitive. And he was asking questions the whole time, right? Are you going to hurt me here? What's going to happen here? What's next? I don't like that. I don't like the line behind my tail, and I think those the questions and the answers were so important that you guys gave, which was, no, I'm not going to hurt you here. No, but we're gonna feel those lines behind the legs, just, as we do the double line lunging around the round pen, and then he kicked and kicked. I know our videographer was covered in sand before the end of the demonstration on the first day. But on the third day, he was so cool with you guys. He thought, these guys are not so bad. I think I'll live. And it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's like the Monty's concept. We build the trust between horses and people. So that's so important. So in 3 days, we built a very interesting partnership between horses and human being. So, and every time the horse reacted, sometimes a little bit hard, but come back to us and said, hey, okay, you're not going to hurt me. I'm with you. And I'll be good. Yeah. So let's try something else and try again. And by the end, it was so amazing.
It was so amazing. How was it, Manjeev, to be in the gentling pen? I know there were 3 of you in the gentling pen. So we've got Miguel and Manjeev, and we've got Jamie Jennings, who you guys are, this is your place. You sing in the gentling pen quietly. But how was it to have Netta DeMeo, who is at least 20 years, I think, the founder of Return to Freedom, which is a wild horse sanctuary, the home of Spirit, by the way, the real Mustang, not the Disney creature. How was it to be able to work with those gentlers in front of Netta and Monty and a whole room full of really nice people in the gentling facility? But you could hear a pin drop.
Yeah, that's precisely I was about to say that, because when you are with the horses, you don't feel anything else, because you don't see there 100 people watching you or 1,000 people watching you, because you are so in tune with that animal down there. But to me, gentling pen is very special, because when I work with these horses, those who are never touched and never handled, I feel like if I'm connecting with them, I'm in their environment somewhere in the wild. Mm-hmm. If they're coming from the Wild West, Nevada, or somewhere big herds are there, I feel like I'm still a part of their herd, and I'm there in the middle of the forest and working with them, which connects me very, very, I feel very personal about it, because I get very touched with this, that I can do this. This is something I can convince the other species that, you know what, I can be a part of your herd. And they start trusting, which we can't say much about it nowadays. So trust is the most important thing, and that's what we build down there.
Absolutely.
And listening Neda, because she will definitely tell you where these horses are from. So you know precisely what you're working with, what these horses are, and how important it is for the history of our own self, our own species on this planet. Mm-hmm. And that these horses, a band of such horses, should not extinct, we should look after them because this is the property of this planet, and we should be feeling very, very proud that this is part of us. And because nowadays there are so many other animals, I wish I've seen them before they are disappeared from this planet. And this is the kind of a thing. You might have horses all across, but there are certain special species and breeds of horses you would like to work with them or see them at least. And Gentling Pen is one of the place in our facility here which gives you all the tools and I think the experience which you're looking for so far. So I come from India especially for that pen because I don't have that facility. I don't have those kind of horses in my part of the world. And to me, every trip makes it so special because I see more horses, I work with more horses there, and every time I work with them, I feel more closer to them. And that's what I felt people are also, because when they're watching, they're asking questions and they're connecting in their way. Also, if Monty's sitting there, and every time when he's telling you something, it's like kind of a new learning. So to me, I think it is very special. Anywhere, either it's round pen or Gentling Pen. Especially, I love Gentling Pen because that's the first education kindergarten for those horses. And if I start them right there, then there is a good new beginning for them. And I think it's my responsibility to give them a good start. I feel very responsible for the rest of the days of their life because if they're happy and started well, they start building trust in a human. And from there onwards, you have a happy horse, easy to handle, and they have a better life. So I think me has a responsibility who works in Gentling Pen to give them a good start, which I love about it.
I do too.
It's my favorite place in this farm. It's a Gentling Pen. It's amazing, like Manjeev said. Every time I'm going there, I work with the horse all my life. And every time I'm going there, even with Monty, it's something special, but every time we go over there, we learn something. Even doesn't matter how much experience you have. Those horses can teach you things, teach how to work with them, and made more connection, like Manjeev said, with the natural life of the horses. So for me, inside the round pen, in Gentling Pen, it's so special all the time because we learn so much inside there. And if we have Neda or Monty out and talk and explain for us, so our vision change a lot, how we can look at those horses and how we can lead with that horses. And like Manjeev said, wow, it's a big responsibility for us to be the first one touch those horses. So we learn so much inside there.
You know, I'm feeling a theme out of this because I'm reading a book right now that talks about a gentleman that was raised near the ocean and felt like when he went back into the ocean in the kelp beds, he was closer to wild. But he wasn't closer to wild in the animals. He was closer to wild in himself. And then we had Roberto de Tesco here as our photo exhibit of the wild horses of Sable Island. And he's not a horse guy, right? But he goes out there and he doesn't stop now for 30 years going out there to photograph these beautiful, beautiful horses. So our barn is now turned into a gallery, which is pretty cool on that end of the barn anyway. And he started a foundation called I Am Wild. And so I'm feeling like you guys are describing that work with those wild horses as getting in touch with yourselves. And that's an opportunity when you have the pure language echoes, which means that those horses are only reacting and responding to their predatorial environment, what is in their DNA that says, keep me safe, ancestors, right? Tell me where I go wrong and where I go right in trusting these people. It brings in the wild to you.
Yeah, I think I take wild word as in like your true self, as you said. Wild doesn't mean rough and like crazy, yeah. Or you can say like it's not been able to control itself. That's what I like about animals. If you see siblings or in any species, if they don't like each other, they bark at each other or they kick or they bite. But the next moment they start grazing and playing together. So it's not like they are trying to hurt each other. They're just expressing, you know what, I didn't like this. And okay, I'm fine with you. So the boundary's been set much better than us. We are social animals, so we are controlled by our social things. That's why we're able to control our emotions better. We are able to respond in a different situation differently, which is needed in our kind of a world, because that is very difficult otherwise if we don't have a social boundaries. But animals do not have other tools which can hurt them badly what we have as a human have. So when you talk about wild, I think I connect that wild word with like the true self of itself. Maybe it's animal, or it's the vegetation, or it's planet, it's nature. Everything when it is wild, it's looking after itself. And Roberto, I can't tell you how much fan I'm of his pictures and the book he has, and the documentary. Probably, I think he told me there are other movies being done on that island. I will go back and see and connect much better. I traveled to Mongolia and Kazakhstan where I saw some wild horses, but yes, they have not been portrayed that kind. Like, we always say that the Mongolia is the only country where you have the true wild horses, but nobody knows about it. It's not been brought to the limelight or to the education or information of the human. But what Roberta is doing, it's amazing, because one thing is to know about it, another thing is to keep people aware about it. So that is the most important thing, to bring things out of there and tell other people, you know what, this is there, we should do it. I only would like to do something about anything which needed any kind of a respect or care, only when I know about it. Now, if I know Monty's concept, I can work with horses. If I have not educated in his method for whatever is available, I think that's the only education available, and I follow that. So same thing with Roberto. Now he's bringing the education out. You know, there are horses. Probably there are many other islands also like that, but at least it's bringing the light. And it's bringing the awareness to the world that we should be able to do certain things, or we should be able to look after things. So I think it's a very good job what he's doing.
I love
pretty nicely. And the way he put it forward, it's not only the documentary and telling people, you know what, he's doing his part of the job, like bringing the awareness out, documentaries, pictures, exhibiting, telling people what is he doing and why is he doing, which is the most important thing. Okay, taking a picture and selling is one thing, but giving the education is the other thing. So I like, it's like a kind of us as instructor to Monty spreading the word. He's also doing the same concept in his world to all the photographers and all those people, those who capture such kind of a work. I think his community is also going to be benefit out of what he's doing.
I think so too, and I hope a lot of people will support his foundation, the I Am Wild Foundation, too, because he has a great vision for the future of helping kids and people too by exposing this wildness and the survival, the resiliency of these horses out there too. I mean, you're seeing the resiliency in the gentling pen and the wildness of these horses too, and they're just trying to stay alive and pass on the DNA, reproduce. We always say this in the classes here, don't we? Yes. Is they only have two motivations, and it's to reproduce and to survive. And we're not talking about reproduction here in the round pens. So we know that they're just on a gentle survival mode. They're just avoiding. They're avoiding anything that would break trust between human and horse. And I love that you guys do that every day here. I appreciate your time with this, with the movement for sure. You were superstars over the weekend for the movement, and I appreciate that you're onward now teaching the Monty special training, the Gentling Wild Horse courses, which we've got another one in September. The introductory course, Manjeev will be teaching that in August of this year, and that's an ongoing certification if you're listening to this in the future. And also we have coming up Monty's special training, which we've got him here. We've got Shy Boy here, who's 30 in his 31st year, as Dad says it now too, which is quite a story in itself. We got to use him pretty front and center on the weekend too. So thank you both for being on Horsemanship Radio.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. And I think I love to be on this journey with Monty.
Thank you very much. And it's like Manjeev said, it's a pleasure to be in this world and learn so much from horses.
Whisper the language of the herd. Listen, you don't have to say a word.
It's time for Jamie Jennings to fetch an email from Monty Roberts' inbox and share a morsel of Monty's wisdom in a little segment we'd like to call Ask Monty.
Leave this world a better place than mine. The magic in the language of the herd.
Dear Monty, are horse bits absolutely necessary? Is it not possible to use a dually halter to ride with? Monty's answer: it is absolutely appropriate to ride in a dually halter. Once you've tried it, you will see many reasons why it's an effective piece of equipment with which to ride, lead, and train your horse. In the world of horsemanship, there is a piece of equipment called a side pole. Many horsemen recommend it. The dually is simply a modified side pole. The two training rings provide a natural attachment for each of the reins, and while you use both reins for riding or long lining, I recommend the use of one rein while schooling from the ground. The dually halter comes with its own DVD to assist you in the process of learning how to use it.
For more of these insights into good horsemanship, go to MontyRoberts.com and click on the words Ask Monty at the bottom of the page.
Where in the world is Monty Roberts?
Monty is looking forward to meeting some new friends, two-legged and four-legged, in July. Here we are right now. We've got the 8th through the 12th is Monty's special training. That is probably one of the highlights of our year. We do a couple of them now that Monty is off the road from demonstrating, and it's a variety pack. It's so much fun. Then in August 2024, as we said, 5 through 20, August 5 through 20 is the introductory course of horsemanship. So that's a 2-week course. If you want to take it in modules, we can break up those dates into 3 days at a time. So you can look that up on the website and see how that goes. But it basically is first steps, then join up, long lining, and then prepping for exams. So that's 2 weeks. And then on the end of the month, on the 25th, we have Horsemanship 101, super popular. Sign up early. And then in September 2024, we have 9 through 13, Gentling Wild Horses. That's a 5-day course of Gentling Wild Horses. Pretty self-explanatory. That's what we do. No prerequisites. You can be a neophyte, you can be a professional trainer, and you'll all get something exciting out of it.
You can find all of that and more at your one-stop shop for all things Monty at MontyRoberts.com. You can also call the farm, 805-688-6288. For details about today's show, horsemanshipradio.com is the place to go. You will find links, photos, and more information about today's guests and topics. And we love your feedback. A great place to do it is on social media. We're not social media haters. We like social media. It's just fine. On Facebook, it's Monty Roberts, the one with the little blue check mark. On Twitter as well as Instagram, it's Monty_Roberts.
That's right. And many thanks to our sponsors, too. Thank you, Jay Michelson, for supplying all those hands-on gloves for everybody that came to the movement. And as always, the support you have for our program. We couldn't do it without you. And that's HandsOnGloves.com. And also MontyRobertsUniversity.com, our reason for being in the first place. Be sure to visit all the other great shows on the Horse Radio Network at horseradionetwork.com. Until next time, have many happy horse hours.